Hey, you need to move out. My husband and I are moving back in next month. You are single, so there is no reason for you to stay there. That was the first thing I heard from Amanda after years of complete silence. Her demand was so bold, so casual, that for a second I thought I had misheard her. But no, that was just how she was, selfish and completely oblivious to how ridiculous she sounded. As I listened, my mind drifted back to our childhood. Amanda had always treated me like an inconvenience, someone she could push around at will. If I ever stood up for myself, she would lash out, knowing full well our parents would never stop her. It had always been my role to endure, to give in, to let her have her way. But that was a long time ago. She had not changed, but I had. I took a slow breath, let the silence stretch between us, and then finally opened my mouth to speak. My name is Rachel, and I turned 36 this year. I work at a company, live a quiet life, and by all appearances, I am just an ordinary woman. But my family? That is another story. I have an older sister, 3 years older to be exact. Her name is Amanda, and if there is one thing to know about her, it is that she has always been obsessed with being special. She had the kind of beauty that turned heads, a perfect combination of our mother's delicate features and our father's sharp looks. People fawned over her from the moment she was born. Our Amanda is just stunning. We are so lucky to have such a gorgeous daughter, our parents would say. They had always valued appearance above everything else, even in each other. That was why they got married in the first place. But then I came along. 3 years after Amanda, they had another daughter, me. Not a stunning beauty. Not someone who stood out. Just average. She looks nothing like us. I wonder who she takes after. How did we end up with such a plain-looking kid? They never hesitated to say things like that in front of me. They never hit me, never openly mistreated me, but real affection? That was something I never got. It did not take long for Amanda to pick up on that. She realized she was the favorite, the special one, the one who could do whatever she wanted. And she ran with it. She would take anything I liked, my toys, my books, even small things like candy, because in her mind, she deserved them more than I did. At first, I would cry and try to fight back. But she always won. If she could not manipulate me, she would use force. If I told our parents, they would either ignore it or tell me to stop being difficult. Eventually, I gave up. I learned that resisting her was pointless. Amanda could take anything she wanted, but there was one thing she could not steal: knowledge. I threw myself into studying. It was the only thing I had control over, the one area where my efforts actually made a difference. One day, when I was struggling with Amanda's bullying, a classmate pulled me aside and said, "You are really smart. You helped me with homework all the time, and you got the highest score on the last test. If you keep it up, you can beat your sister at something she cannot take away." It was the first time anyone had pointed that out to me. And they were right. I was good at school, and for the first time in my life, I felt like I had something of my own. I threw everything into my studies, and eventually, I got top marks in every subject. Teachers praised me, my name was listed as one of the highest scorers, and for once, I felt like I had achieved something real. I was so proud of myself that I went home that day expecting, just maybe, a little praise from my parents. "Hmm, that is pretty good," my father said absently, flipping through my test results. "Yeah, the teacher even praised you in the parent-teacher meeting," my mother added. That was it. No excitement, no warmth, no real acknowledgement. But still, it was the closest thing to approval I had ever gotten from them. And for a moment, that was enough. I thought, just maybe, I was finally earning my place in this family. Then Amanda walked in. "You? Getting praised? Like you are on my level? Her voice dripped with resentment. Before I could react, she grabbed my study materials and threw them out. Every book, every note, everything I had worked for gone in seconds. I burst into tears. The noise brought our parents into the room. But instead of scolding her, they just sighed. We will buy you new ones. Stop crying. Wendy does not need to study. She is naturally charming. That is all that matters for her. That was the moment I understood. No matter what I did, I would never be seen the same way as Amanda. I would never be her. That was when I decided. I would leave that house as soon as I could. I stopped showing any emotion around my family. I spoke only when necessary. I focused entirely on my studies, blocking out everything else. Amanda took that as arrogance. She bullied me even more, treating me as her personal stress relief. But I did not care anymore. I had one goal: get out. And then, in my second year of high school, Amanda made an announcement that should have shocked me. But at this point, nothing she did really surprised me anymore. Oh, by the way, I used up all your college money. Sorry, nothing personal. She had taken the money our parents had saved for my education and spent it on designer clothes and luxury handbags. And our parents? They just shrugged. Well, Amanda's part-time job does not cover everything she needs. You will just have to give up on college. For a moment, I felt something close to rage, but anger would not change anything. So instead, I started looking for scholarships, picking up as many part-time jobs as I could while still keeping up with my studies. When I finally got accepted into a good university, I packed my things and moved out immediately. Amanda did not take that well. Wow, you are seriously pathetic, she sneered when she found out. You wasted your youth working and studying? Your life is over. The irony of that statement coming from her, the person who had forced me into this situation, was almost laughable. But I did not care what she thought anymore. For the first time, I was free. And for a while, I finally had peace. I made friends. I learned new things. I built a life for myself. And when I met Jason, I thought I had finally found someone who truly understood me. I even started thinking about marriage. Then, I made the mistake of introducing him to my family. And Amanda? She decided she wanted him. Amanda was still ranting over the phone, convinced that her self-centered demands would work at nearly 40. I let her go on for a bit before calmly explaining the reality of the situation. The house and the land were legally transferred to me by our parents. It is all mine. The paperwork is in my name, not yours. And as for the house itself, I had it demolished. It was too old to sell, but the land was valuable, so I put it on the market. The silence on the other end was almost satisfying. I continued, remember when Mom's health started declining? I moved back home to take care of her before you ran off. Things only got worse after that. After she turned 60, our mother spiraled into self-destruction. She had always been obsessed with her appearance, but once she started aging, she lost control. She began binge eating, drinking heavily, and completely disregarding her own health. Doctors repeatedly warned her to change her lifestyle, but she never listened. Eventually, she collapsed and had to be hospitalized. Our father was not much better. He had always loved alcohol and cigarettes, but once Mom fell ill, he spiraled into even worse habits. Drinking, smoking, ignoring the doctor's orders, he did it all. And just like Mom, he ended up in the hospital. I handled everything quietly, paid their medical bills, arranged their care. And for all that, they showed no gratitude. Instead, they made demands. We're moving back home. You'll take care of us. That's right. You're our daughter, so it's your responsibility. It was almost laughable. They had barely treated me like a daughter before, but the moment they needed something, suddenly I was their beloved child. That was when I knew for certain I owed them nothing. But I had a plan. If you want me to take care of you, I told them, then transfer the house and land to me. Also, I'll be managing your finances. They were furious. You're just after our assets, my father snapped. I kept my expression neutral. You can say no, but if you refuse, I won't be taking care of you at all. They had no choice. Over the years, they had alienated every relative, looking down on anyone they did not consider attractive or worthy of their time. They had no real friends, no support system. And as an elderly couple with declining health, they could not arrange care on their own. Grudgingly, they signed over everything. Once they were discharged from the hospital, I made sure they had full-time nursing care. I used their savings to cover the costs and paid any shortfalls myself. But taking care of them personally? No. I had no desire to be their caretaker. These were the same people who had watched Amanda torment me for years and done nothing. They had once even mocked me, saying, "Your crying face is so ugly. No one will ever marry you. If you can't find a husband, do not come running back to us for help." Those words had cut deep. Even now, they left a scar. So no, I was not about to waste my life taking care of them. They should be grateful I was even paying for their nursing care. At this point, Amanda suddenly interrupted, as if she had only just thought of it. Wait, where are Mom and Dad? Only now was she asking? I almost laughed. They're in a nursing home. I answered. What? But you were supposed to take care of them in exchange for the house. In-home care was not enough anymore. They needed round-the-clock supervision, so I placed them in a facility. Even after hospitalization, my parents had refused to change. They sneaked cigarettes, ate whatever they wanted, ignored the nurses, and kept making demands. It was obvious that their health would only keep deteriorating. So, before things got worse, I made sure the house and land were transferred to me legally, and then arranged for them to move into a full-time care home. I had not visited them since. Amanda sounded horrified. You just left them there? They get the best care money can buy. Unlike you, I am actually paying for it. I think that makes me a better daughter than you ever were. But they raised you. Don't you feel any gratitude? I smirked. I am showing gratitude. I am paying for their care. For the first time, Amanda seemed truly shaken. She had never realized just how little I cared about our parents. You're so ungrateful, she muttered. Say whatever you want. Are we done here? Instead of answering, Amanda suddenly changed tactics. Fine, then give me all the money from the land sale. I blinked. She was serious. I have a family to support, she argued. Unlike you, I'm married, and I have a child. I need that money more than you. Her voice rose into a whine, as if she genuinely believed I would give in. The entitlement was staggering. No, I said simply. You don't care about my child? She screeched. Your child is yours and Danny's. The man who betrayed me and ran off without paying compensation. I do not owe your family anything. While the kid was innocent, the fact that they were Amanda and Danny's child made me feel nothing but disgust. Amanda lost it. She started hurling insults, her voice dripping with venom. You're a worthless, ugly, single woman. You're beneath me. It's only natural that you obey your superior. I sighed and pulled the phone away from my ear. You're just bitter because I stole your fiancé. You can never win against me. Not then, not now, not ever. I let her finish her triumphant little speech. Then, in the calmest tone possible, I said, I am already married. Silence. What? I almost laughed. She sounded so pathetic. I married a man from one of our company's business partners. He works for an even bigger corporation than mine. He is one of the youngest department heads, and he is already scheduled for a promotion next year. That was Eric. After Danny's betrayal, I had thrown myself into work. That was how I met Eric. He was intelligent, successful, and, most importantly, he truly valued me. Unlike Danny, he was not some weak-willed man who followed along with whatever was convenient. He was a real partner. Oh, and by the way, I added, I once showed Eric a picture of you. He was not impressed. You are not his type. Amanda was speechless. She had always believed she could get any man she wanted. But Eric had no interest in her. I was not done yet. You seem to be struggling, I continued. Danny's about to lose his job, isn't he? How do you know that? After running away, Danny had jumped from job to job, unable to fit in anywhere. Now, he was juggling part-time work, barely scraping by. His latest job was about to fire him, and in desperation, he had contacted an old colleague to ask for help. That colleague had called me instead. Danny's working hard, huh? And you're just sitting at home. No wonder you're broke and trying to move back in. Danny's parents had disowned him after the engagement scandal. My parents were in a nursing home. They had nowhere to go. Amanda finally broke down. She started sobbing, begging for help. Please, Rachel. We have nowhere else to turn. I let her cry for a moment. Then, in the coldest voice I had ever used, I said, goodbye. And I blocked her number.